All right, welcome. This is your strategic briefing. We're going to cut through the noise and consolidate all the critical intel you need to really dominate the legal and financial world of 2026. Think of this less as a summary and more as your new playbook for success. Let's dive in.
And we have to start right here with this blunt reality. In today's landscape, just being a good lawyer, well, that's the absolute bare minimum for survival. It's not the path to success anymore. The entire game has fundamentally changed.
So, to win now, you really need a whole new framework. We call it the sovereign mindset. And it's not about learning one new skill. It's about mastering and weaving together three critical domains into one powerful unified strategy.
And when you synthesize these domains, you become a new kind of professional, the Sovereign Counsel. This is the new ideal, an expert who doesn't just practice law, but literally commands the entire system around it, the legal code itself, the tech that's reshaping it, and the capital that's funding the whole shebang.
The foundation, of course, has to be rock solid. The first domain is your mastery of legal assets. This is your core craft, an undeniable, deep, almost intuitive understanding of the legal code, of precedent, and the rules of evidence. Everything else we talk about is built right on top of this.
Okay, let's move to the second domain, the bar blueprint. This is all about decoding the new rules of the game. The NextGen Bar Exam? It's tossed out pure memorization. Now, it's a test of critical thinking and applied logic. The very skills that are supposed to separate a human practitioner from an AI tool.
And that brings us to the final, and you could argue, the most critical domain, Algorithmic Justice. This is where you have to make a choice. Are you just going to be a subscriber to the new tech tools, or are you going to be an owner? Because true sovereignty, real power, it means leveraging and owning the very infrastructure of modern law.
This idea of ownership, well, it leads us straight into the financial markets. The automation gold rush is happening right now, in real time, which makes your investment portfolio a crucial piece of your overall professional strategy.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the institutional consolidation that's going on. By early 2026, legal tech isn't some speculative bet anymore. It's a dominant core sector of the S&P 500. The very infrastructure of justice is being rebuilt, and just immense value is pouring into the companies laying that new foundation.
So the billion-dollar question is, how do you position yourself? Our strategic model recommends a 20% allocation specifically to this legal tech infrastructure. And look, this isn't just about investing. It's about hedging your entire professional career against being automated away. As AI agents do more and more of the work, the profits flow to the shareholders. You need to be a shareholder.
But, and this is a huge but, not all legal tech is created equal. The market is just littered with these high-risk wrapper startups. They're basically just pretty interfaces on top of someone else's tech. The smart money, though, is focused on companies with what's called grounded RAG systems. These are built on deep, proprietary data sets, which gives them a durable, defensible edge and direct integration into the court systems.
A perfect example is a company like Lexos AI. They aren't just selling software, they've effectively become the gatekeepers of judicial efficiency. They own the pipes that the whole legal system flows through. Now that is a powerful position to be in.
And here's another key indicator of real value: proprietary data. A firm like JuraStream gets its massive valuation because it holds exclusive licenses to huge archives of historical case law. They own the data, and in this new economy, data is the ultimate asset, period.
Okay, so let's pivot from financial mastery back to intellectual mastery. The NextGen Bar Exam of 2026 is a completely different beast. It's totally abandoned that old memorize and dump philosophy for a much, much higher level challenge.
The examiners basically want to know if you can be a filter, not a library. And nowhere is that clearer than in the section that fails more candidates than any other, the Hearsay labyrinth. This is where the new exam really separates the strategic thinkers from everybody else.
The key is to stop memorizing and start filtering. It's a systematic approach, a strategic filter. First, you analyze the nature of the digital evidence. Second, you immediately apply the most tested exceptions under Rules 803 and 804. And third, you have to be able to precisely distinguish concepts like a present sense impression from an excited utterance, especially when you're dealing with digital timestamps.
This filtering skill is also absolutely crucial for Rule 403. I mean, in a world that is just flooded with digital evidence, you have to master this delicate balancing act.
weighing the raw power of a piece of evidence to prove a fact against its potential for unfair prejudice, especially with things like deepfake audio now in the mix. To really ensure you've mastered the evidence section, we use this simple mnemonic, COPPS: character, opinion, privilege, public policy, and secondary evidence. Focus your energy right here. If you master this flow, the evidence section will be your highest scoring area, guaranteed.
And that truly is the core lesson for both the exam and for the entire profession. Your value isn't in knowing everything anymore. It's in your ability to identify what actually matters. The person who can filter the overwhelming noise, that's the person who wins the case, wins the investment, and wins the future.
So this brings us to the defining question of our era, and honestly, your answer is going to determine your entire trajectory. As technology rebuilds this profession from the ground up, you have to ask yourself, are you positioning yourself as the tool or as the owner of the tool? The choice is yours.
All right, welcome back. We're jumping right into the second half of the weekly Sovereign recap. We've covered a lot of ground, but believe me, this is where things get really interesting. We're talking about the fundamental shifts in justice, agency, and what it all means for your mandate as a professional.
So here's what we've got on the docket. We're going to start with the new ethical minefield of algorithmic justice. From there, we'll see how those principles are building a totally new kind of law firm, the Agentic Office. And we'll wrap it all up by making it personal with your sovereign mandate. Okay, first up, algorithmic justice. This is all about what we covered on Wednesday, the new rules of the road for technology in the legal world, and what we can expect from things like the upcoming ABA 2026 guidelines. Let me be crystal clear on the most important takeaway here. The black box defense, it's over. It's done. The days of saying, hey, the software did it, not me, when it fabricates a case or misses a key clause, those days are gone. The buck stops with you, period.
And this new reality is getting written into the rulebook under the duty of supervision. What this means is that advanced AI systems are now treated, for all intents and purposes, like human assistants under your watch. So, if your AI hallucinates and just completely makes up a legal precedent, the sanctions, the penalties, they land squarely on your shoulders, not on some coder halfway across the world.
And hey, if you think this is just some academic exercise, think again. We have the landmark case State v. Robot, which sets a terrifyingly clear precedent. A whole firm got disbarred, not because the AI made an error, but because the human lawyers failed to do their basic job, to verify that what the AI spat out was actually reasonable. The stakes are incredibly high. Which, brings us to a really uncomfortable question we all need to ask ourselves. And be honest, could your firm, right now, today, with its current processes, could you actually withstand this kind of scrutiny? It's something to really think about.
But it's not just about the AI making mistakes. Data security has become this massive ethical battleground. Every single time someone in your firm dumps sensitive client info into a public LLM to, say, summarize a document, you are risking what's called a prompt leak, and that could potentially waive attorney-client privilege. This is a huge liability.
So, how are the sharpest firms dealing with this? They're building what's called an air-gapped environment. It's actually a pretty simple concept. You run your own private AI models on your own servers. Client data goes in, it gets processed, and the answers come out. But nothing ever leaves your firm's encrypted network. It's a closed loop, a digital fortress.
So, what's the bottom line here? It's simple. Being competent with this technology isn't a bonus skill anymore. It's the baseline. You have to understand how this stuff works. But even more than that, the new ethical standard makes one thing perfectly clear. You are the final human guardian of justice. The machine works for you, not the other way around. Okay, so we've talked about the risks, the new rules, pretty heavy stuff. Now let's flip the script. Let's move from defense to offense and talk about the incredible opportunity here. This is what we dove into on Thursday. The rise of the Agentic Office.
We are not talking about a fancy chatbot anymore. This is about deploying AI as a true autonomous agent that can run entire workflows. I mean, look at this. An agent can take a 200-page lease, instantly compare it against your firm's best-in-class clauses, flag every single high-risk liability, and then draft a solid counteroffer, all before you've even finished your morning coffee. That's the power we're talking about.
And if you're wondering about the return on investment, well, the numbers are just undeniable. A junior associate might cost you,
150 grand a year plus benefits. A full suite of these AI agents that can work 24/7 without getting tired, you're looking at maybe 60 grand a year. The math isn't complicated.
But, and I really want to hammer this point home, this is not about replacing people. It is about augmentation. A true sovereign counsel uses these agents to automate all the repetitive, low-value work. This frees you up to focus on the things that actually move the needle: high-level strategy, tough negotiations, and building those crucial client relationships.
And this all leads to an even more powerful strategy, something that top firms are calling the red team approach. It's brilliant. You have one AI draft your legal brief, and then you unleash a second, totally independent AI to attack it, to play devil's advocate. It finds every flaw, every weak point, every potential counterargument before that document ever sees the light of day. It's like having an internal sparring partner that never sleeps.
Okay, so that brings us to the finish line. And honestly, this is the most important part of the whole recap, your personal mandate. We've gone through the ethics, we've gone through the tactics. Now, let's talk about the mindset you need to actually win. What ties all of this together? It all comes down to one single powerful idea: sovereignty. This is a fundamental mindset shift. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of technological change and start seeing yourself as its architect. You stop being a slave to the billable hour and start being a master of delivering incredible value.
Now, knowledge is great, but action is what really counts. So I'm giving you a weekend mandate. 2 simple things. First, do an honest review of your firm's technology and where you really stand in the market. Second, take one complex problem from your desk right now and actually run it through an agentic workflow. See for yourself what it can do.
And for those of you who are serious, who are ready to make this leap, we've put everything you need inside our private community. The deep dive guides, the frameworks, and yes, the complete agentic implementation checklist is in there waiting for you right now.
So, I'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. This change isn't coming, it's already here. The only real question left is, are you going to be the architect of your future practice, or are you going to become a victim of it? The choice, as always, is yours.
Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, stay sharp, stay ahead of the curve, and above all else, stay sovereign.